What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? You made it. Now let's lock in to the Not Bland show. Let's get this thing spread around and get as many people in here as we possibly can. So share the show. Make sure you're hitting that like button. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. I don't know what you're waiting for. It's good stuff here that we try to do. We bring it to you straight, raw, with no chaser, all right? Uh, man, we're going to have a good show because this show is all about you guys. I will have some things that I want to talk about, but we're gonna have a good time. This is the "What Do You Want to Talk About" show.
What do we want to talk about?
Exactly. So that's what we're gonna do. And before we get there, I want to thank everyone who supports us, VTR and Sports, for their support and their affiliation with us. Sports Journey. I want to thank everything Nitro and DragRaceReference.com. And of course, our sponsor, Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. It is now over, ladies and gentlemen. Your belly aching and all of the bad season woes are now by the wayside. We are on to 2026. If you guys have not gotten involved yet and have not signed up for this thing and have not gotten into our league, then you need to do that. And this is how you'll do that. And when we come back, we'll get this thing started.
Drag racing fans, check out Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. It's the free, family-friendly fantasy bracket game. Now, after final qualifying at every national event, you can fill out your bracket for all the pro classes.
It's free, easy to click on your picks. If you need some help, just hit the randomizer button to fill in the blanks. It's for fun, stay engaged, and pick your winners today.
What do we want to talk about?
What do we want to talk about? I see Memphis Lonnie in the building. Man's got a new laptop. So he says we're looking good on the new laptop. I love it. Yep, that's his other YouTube name. It's okay. It's Memphis Lonnie. We all know who it is. We got Mac 1320 in here. We got my guy Caleb in the building. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you, brother. Of course, everybody knows this guy, camera guy, the man who takes my photos. Does an excellent job. Fred Warner. We've got Drag Race Mayhem. So it's going to be a good night. Good night. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go ahead and get this thing started. And my camera guy starts it off going right for the home run. Who is the fourth Force Funny Car? Or fourth car, we'll say the third funny car. That person, he or she, will be taking over the Cornwell Tools championship ride that was once occupied by Austin Prop. There are a few names out there that I think draw interest. I think most of us know who these names are. You have one guy who works for Fox, and Jordan Vandergriff, who is looking for a ride. Now, most will say, hey, man, he was driving a top fuel car. Why would he want to get into a funny car? Possibility. Right? It's a ride. And drivers drive. They don't care what it is. As long as it's got wheels and goes fast, they drive. There has been this name floating around, Tommy Johnson Jr., I think another very good guy as far as when you're talking about marketing. He kind of is the same dude that Jack Beckman is. You know what I mean? Does a great job, can be really good for your business partners, marketing partners. So, yeah, definitely is a possibility. It's going to be very interesting because I think there is possibilities that these drivers come from out of nowhere and there's some shuffling that goes around. And that very well could be the case in certain instances. I mean, who's who's going to turn down an opportunity to drive for the 24-time team champions JFR? I mean, I don't know. Alex Laughlin, that's a good name. I like that. Alex Laughlin, the man who can drive anything, everything. um, we just saw this guy make a pass on a pro stock motorcycle. So I am too interested. Dave W's in here. Is it a Chevrolet SS? That's a good question. Is it? I mean, it's the body, right? Or are we now all of a sudden in a conundrum where it possibly could be the NHRA latest Speed for All drag racing game? Interesting. So you picked half of them in the videos and lost. Man. It's going to be interesting to see who that is and who they decide to choose. It's really been no surprise. I mean, obviously, some of us are in tune to more things than others, but it's been a known commodity that John has wanted to get back to a 3-car funny car team, and now that opportunity has kind of presented itself. So it'll be interesting. Drag Race Mayhem says, "Let's be for real though. That car is not the same car without Jimmy tuning it. It'll be a top ride, sure, but not above the field good." And I think you got a point there. I will say this, though, and we'll get into the weeds of all of this. I will say this. As much as people think that the procs are plug and play over there with Tasca, it's not going to be that easy. It's not going to be that easy. You're like, what do you mean? It's a funny car. They all have the same parts. And that's where you're wrong. That's where you're wrong. JFR has some of the best blowers in funny car racing and in nitro racing today. Guess what? They aren't for sale. Nobody has them but them. There's a lot of parts within drag racing community, AJ included. There's just certain things you can't buy from him. He's not giving that up. Same thing from nitro to pro stock motorcycle. There are parts that you can get, and there are parts that you simply can't get. They are team centric only. And that is going to be a difference. And I think it's going to be a curveball. We'll get there because I want to answer this question here from our guy Caleb Barnes here, asking about our local high school team here as we are in the playoffs right now. The title town that we are, Valdosta High, is on to their next, I think this is a semifinal game, and they will get another home game, if I'm not mistaken, because they are the number 1 seed. And fortunately enough for them, the other number 1 seed in the bracket got plucked off in an upset. So they will have another home game. It was a close one. I think it was 43-42 or 46-42, something like that. But the game was a sizable lead until it wasn't. And they were able to hold on to win. What happened to Lowndes? Well, I know there's certain people that can't say certain things because coaches get upset and get in their feelings. Well, guess what, guys? This ain't that show. So I'm going to tell you exactly what I think. I think that Coach Carter needs to find some offensive coordinators, period. I don't think they did a good job, and maybe he was a little bit hands-off on that. You saw the same game plan that they rolled out against the when it was the Wintersville Classic, Valdosta versus Lowndes. It was the same game plan. And it seems to me that our star quarterback headed to Texas was handcuffed and not playing his style of football. And you could tell that. Because if it was me, Caleb, we talked about this. against that team on that night, we knew what they brought, North Gwinnett brought to the table. They are stacked when it comes down to 5-star and 4-star athletes. And the way to combat that is to come in and keep their defense on the football field and you go turbo. No huddle. Walk up to the line, and you call the play at the line, and then the quarterback can make his adjustments and you go. We not only could spread them out and run off of that, but you also could get deep balls to Bubba in that regard. And I don't think we think it was more of a coaching trying not to lose than actually trying not to win. And it didn't seem like our kids were in it. It was almost like they felt like it was a here we go again moment, like it was like they had experienced in Valdosta. So that's what I think. Next year will be very interesting, but I will say this: the talent pool over here in Lowndes County, our pockets, they are not empty. There's a lot of talent that's going to be coming through here, and I think for both schools, Valdosta and Lowndes, and I think we're going to start seeing these two programs go the distance, or at least be in the semifinal rounds of the state playoffs. And I think it's going to improve because you'll get with these new schedule rules and how they're weighing these schedules, you're going to have to play more quality opponents, and Lowndes needs to play more away games so that they can be seasoned to those types of conditions, because they played 8 home games, three away games. That's not enough, and 2 were regional. That's just not enough. Not enough, especially for a young, talented group such as the Vikings. It says, heck, put Julie. I'm all for that too. And I thought that would be a name that would be floated around as well. We know she got her license this year thanks to Del Worsham. Was able to get that license. But I don't see why she's not one of the names that's involved, other than one deciding factor, which I do believe she has money to bring to the table. I do believe she has a sponsor that she can bring, unless that is no longer the case. But, if money's the issue, I think she brings that to the table. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. And I agree with you, Dave. I'm not interested in seeing TJ coming away from the booth. And I'm going to be honest and go out on a limb and say I don't think TJ is the one that's going to get the job. I'm not really sure if it's just a name that people are throwing up against the wall, and because his name comes up a lot. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when you used to talk about head coaches back in the day, and John Gruden's name would always come up. So it's kind of one of those things. Not saying TJ is way better than John, by the way, when it comes down to prowess, but because John Gruden was only good because he had Tony Dungy's team after Tony left. He wasn't anything after that. Not a thing. Drag Race Mayhem says, if it was up to me, it would be Lyle Barnett, or maybe someone like Anthony Torrier from Alcohol. I like the premise of going young. Lyle is a great personality, so that trumps a lot of things, no pun intended. Personality makes a big difference, especially when you talk about sponsorships and representing sponsors. So that is needed, but I believe youth is also needed as well. I'm doing great, Blake. How about you, man? How about you? Things are kosher. How was everybody's Turkey Day, by the way? Pretty good stuff that we were able to do. Drag Race Man says, don't affect my phone with speed for all. I don't need the virus coming out my phone speakers. Yeah, it's bad. That's a negative ghostwriter. What he's up to is not driving. Not at this moment. Not at this moment. He need more practice. Let's just put it that way. He need more practice. I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna be nice on that deal. It says he still performed with well at DSR without those parts. Yeah, he did. He did. But 341. Well, he could get 340. Tasker was able to do it. But I'm still going to tell you there's a learning curve. Now, a lot of you not even going to believe me, but I'm telling you, there's going to be a learning curve. The parts that are produced, especially specialty ones that are only JFR, are different than every other team out there. And I have talked to several crew chiefs that say that they have the best blowers that you can't buy. So we're going to see how it all pans out when it comes to them going to where they're going. And Tasker runs a great operation, but I believe there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve there. Says Dave W says, yeah, just bend the headers to make up for the lack of horsepower. Right. Yeah, you can't do that anymore. It's my guy Larry. What's going on, man? And yes, that's just how I feel about it. I understand, the premise of the other guys on the Viking Nation and that they have a line to toe, but I'm not the one that's going to toe that line. Maybe if I was on their show, I'd take that in consideration because don't want to mess up their media credentials. But that ain't me. I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel about it, and that's how I feel about it. Get some new offensive coordinators, and let's turn this thing loose a little bit and stop handcuffing that young man. And this is another team that's loaded with quarterbacks because there's one right behind him that's very well capable of slinging the rock. So don't act like JFR wasn't doing it too. Oh, they were doing it now. Everybody's doing a little something until they get caught. Caleb says, according to the players, we had a different coach calling plays. Yes, I heard that, and I don't like that. And that coach who was calling the plays, yeah. Take those, like Joe Witt Jr., demote his behind and take that sheet from him. Because that ain't it. Another problem is we aren't big. I don't think size really mattered because you can scheme, you can out scheme and scheme for size. And I'll use a prime example. Dan Quinn, in his days with Dallas, did not have a front line that had a whole lot of girth in it. These guys were lean. They could bend very well, bend the corners. They could get underneath and swim move underneath to their guys. They were very good with their hands and disengaging from these offensive linemen. And that's how they were able to get pressure with their front four. These guys weren't big at all. Now, does that cost you a little bit in the run game? Maybe. But if you've got quality linebackers, one, and if you have a team that has a flop to the ball like a swarm of hornets mentality, you don't have to worry about giving up too much in the run game. Because if I got four guys up front that can maintain gap responsibility, your defensive ends, they're not getting out of position and doing a Bruce Smith and trying to go 10 yards up the field to get the quarterback, and they keep contained and flush that running back inside where your smart linebackers should be playing those gaps there between, the center and the guard, which we call an A gap. I shouldn't have any problems in the run game. And if I don't respect their pass game, then I can bring my safety down and bring him in the box as an extra help in support of the run game, especially when I don't respect their guys on the outside. And then with that, you can do other scheming to confuse the quarterback with your safeties to still be able to help in an instant of they have a guy or two that might be able to, get open a little bit. So I don't like when people say that we don't have the size. You work. Good coaches understand that they what their teams are and the personnel that they have, and they coach accordingly. Because the people who say this is my scheme and this is what we're going to run, and when you look around the room and you can tell that they don't really have the personnel to run what they want to run, guess what? They are NFL, not for long. Like one and done, two and done. And you know, Caleb, this town don't put up with that kind of nonsense. Because the expectations here are high. And you either got the stones for it or you don't. And we've seen folks who don't. So, yeah, I won't use that excuse. So not at first, but eventually, and when they did, best ever quickest official and unofficial funny car passes came in JFR Chevys. They did. So what do I think of the news about Prop family leaving? I'm not shocked because money talks. And at the end of the day, I think they got a better deal. That's what it was all about. Now, I know I've seen people put out there that maybe because they wanted Thomas to tune and maybe they went up for that and that kind of rubbed them the wrong way. I just think they got a better deal that fits their family and what they're trying to do, and maybe the progression that they're trying to do with their family. And they feel, I'm sure they feel that Thomas is. You've heard Austin talk about his brother, and I know that he has more responsibility on that car than people realize as far as tuning goes. So they probably feel that he was more than capable of tuning a car on his own, and he has one of the greatest of all time to lean on if there's some head scratching moments, right? And I don't have a problem with putting young talent out there to tune, because at the end of the day, you guys remember the cycle of recirculating guys who are like Marty Schottenheimer that can get you to 500 but can't get you to no championships. And we got to keep digging and we got to keep finding this young talent. And at some point, you're going to have to let them take the training wheels off and learn how to do this. The more and more you keep the training wheels on and handcuffing these guys, there is no growth. There's no opportunity for them for you to find out whether they can do it or not. And if you're smart and you have a young crew chief, it's not any different than having a head coaching position. And a lot of people do that wrong in the NFL. And usually it's likely the head coach who's making the calls about his staff. But you've got to put your ego aside and can't be playing who's got the biggest stones in the room. And sometimes as a young coach, you've got to hire somebody as an assistant that is knowledgeable and knows more than you. Because at the end of the day, it's only going to better the organization and it will better you as a head coach or crew chief. So I just think they got a better opportunity. Jeff George was pretty good. He was the guy that, come in and sail it up, right? So how do you feel about the new Florida hire? I hope it works. That's all I can say. I hope it works. Because we've been down this road of hiring no-name guys. And the fact that that doesn't really ring a bell for me. And there's nothing that stands out about that name is unnerving. They put their eggs in one basket. I think they kind of felt like they saw the writing on the wall, um, and got themselves out of the Lane Kiffin sweepstakes. I know some people think that Lane is a snake in the grass, but it's like $13 million a year, first off. Second of all, I know people will say, well, he used some things as leverage by saying he was going to take coaches with him if they didn't let him coach through, coach Ole Miss. Well, I to the championship. Well, I think it's stupid that the AD didn't allow him to coach this team through the playoffs, because now you know how this committee is, and they look for any opportunity, no matter how suspect and how cupcake that Alabama schedule is, to put them in there. And you have an opportunity. I think they have a great opportunity to make some noise in the playoffs. But they're going to view this whole thing differently without a coach. And who's to say that they just don't put you out at the top 12 because of it? So I think it's stupid to let egos get involved with all of this. It is the rules that the NCAA has in place, rules that I do not agree with. I do not believe you should be able to tamper or to be able to talk to a coach that is in a championship run or is under contract until the season is over. And that's something that the NCAA is going to have to fix, because this is only going to get worse now. You think they're talking to them early now. They'll be talking to folks mid-season now because they can. But I'm not really sold on that hire there, Caleb. I'm not. And it really just comes down to recruiting. And I've said it time and time again. You keep firing head coaches, it sets your program back. And if these kids that were committed don't believe in this guy, guess what? They're going to go somewhere else. And there goes your recruiting pile, and you start from scratch. That's why Florida State really didn't get rid of their head coach. First of all, who you going to go to? That's one. And two, they are starting to build a recruiting class. They still need more pieces. They are not championship ready. There are some things coaching-wise that you could be critical of when it comes to him. But for the most part, the program's going in the right direction. So we'll see. But it doesn't give me warm and fuzzies. It says, how about Rush Funny Money? Oh, man, that guy. He's actually in the playoffs again. I mean, it's not surprising. Like, it's not like the guy's a little off upstairs, but I mean, it's not like he can't coach. And he likely could have gotten Valdosta to a championship, you know what I mean? But the guy's mouth is just too big. You know how it is around here, Fred. They don't play that nonsense. They don't play that at all. So his mouth was too big. Yes, happy holidays for my guy, Ford Scott. What's up, man? Drag Race Mayhem says Tasca was a few runs away from winning a championship. I mean, we're acting like we're talking about a Big 12 team versus the SEC. Meanwhile, it's more like SEC versus Big 10. Again, this is not knocking Tasca by any means. But when I tell you that this blower situation is going to make a difference, it's going to make a difference. It's going to make a huge difference. And you say, are they that far apart? Well, there's several crew chiefs that will tell you yes. They have the best blowers in drag racing. And I trust their word on that. That's awesome. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Lonnie says, I thought the stock answer to all of the driver inquiries was Alan Reinhart. Pfft, I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna be nice. Too late? Is it? It's too late in the season for a change. It is. It's way too late. But people got to set egos aside, and they weren't willing to do that. So it is what it is. So we look like the game after. Yeah, yeah, I remember that. I remember that. Really did. Yes, Commanders played really good ball, and I've been saying this for um, a long time. For the past 8, 9 weeks now, we're we're 2 weeks away from Joe Witt being removed, but this move came way too late, way too late. And I think if they make this move in week 4, they actually might be a 500 football team because this offense has done well and has put points on the board. Its problem was that the defense on every stinking possession was allowing points. And then when the offense has a bad night, everybody goes, "What happened?" and starts pointing fingers at the offense and starts talking about Cliff Kingsbury. But they can't do it every week. The defense is going to have to get turnovers and extra possessions for their offense, and sometimes you just simply have to stop somebody, and they weren't doing that. So I said this on the Urban Sports Scene on their show earlier this past weekend, as a matter of fact, on Saturday. And look, I get Dan Quinn is loyal, and I appreciate that from him. He's a stand-up guy. But at the end of the day, this is about wins and losses. And when things aren't going well, and it looks like the disaster that it was, and it looked like individuals within the locker room had been lost, as if Joe Witt had lost that defense and their confidence in him, and you continue to allow this to try to play out and allow him to fix it, that's how people lose jobs. They don't give a crap whether it's your assistant or not. It ultimately falls on your head as the leader. You are the voice in the room. You are the one representing this football team, not your assistants, not your coordinators. So when things go wrong and you don't make the right decision or you pull the plug too late, they send that person and you out of here. People lose jobs because of that. So I need him to be more of a butthole in the room. And when people aren't doing their jobs, of course you give them time, but that was way too much time because the writing was on the wall. Clearly on the wall. After week 4 or 5, the writing was on the wall. When you lost that game to Dallas in the fashion you did, the writing was on the wall. And for everybody kept saying that, oh, this is Dan Quinn's defense. No, it's not. Go back and look at the tape of the Cowboys under Dan Quinn, and then look at the last 2 games we've seen from Madrid and on Sunday night in Landover, Maryland. Totally different teams. Totally different styles of defense. And Joe Witt just simply doesn't know what he's doing. But they look really good right now. Just a little too late. So what do I think about the news that was released today? I like it for her. This is probably one of the best spots that she's been in a good time. A really good spot. And now you can't, you're not, it's going to add a little bit of pressure. And I think Joe said this, Costello said this on his show on WFO about the fact that you're going to have to, the expectation has been risen high now. And it's going to be on you to rise to that occasion. And it's not a knock against her. It's just the optics and the facts, right? You taking a job with the Browns and taking a job with the Cowboys is different. Expectations are high with Dallas all the time. there's lowered expectations in Cleveland. So if you look like a dud in Cleveland, they're just going to blame the entire organization. But you can't come here and be on the lowered expectation. But if anybody can do it because of her attitude, her willingness to work hard, which she's always done in her career, and now she will actually have a ride that she can be confident in. I expect her to have a big year, the best of her career, and I think she will rise to this occasion. I really do. I like her chances, in the words of Tiger Woods. Said Chiefs don't look great either. They don't. And my thoughts there, Andy Reid is a little bit of the problem. The play calling has not been stellar, and I think has put the team in the defense in tough situations. And there's just a level of inconsistency that we haven't seen from this football team, in 8-9 years? I felt like they should have made a move for Breece Hall at the trade deadline. I think they needed a solid back. I like Pacheco, but Pacheco he's not what he once was 2 years ago. Kareem Hunt seems to be showing that he's just getting stronger with time and has been a good option for them. I need more consistency in the play calling that enables Pat to have some options. Sometimes I think they leave him out on the island with some of the play calls that they're given and it's play calls in situations. So it's situational football and the calls you make inside those situations. I mean, there's a couple head scratchers on 3rd and longs with plays that they call that kind of favor the opposing team's defense. And then you see them having success in one area, and then all of a sudden they just go completely away from it, and you don't see it for several series until the butt-clenching moments and everything's on the line and we've got to go down here and score. So it's going to be a tough road here on out. And the good thing is Baltimore 6-6 too. So there's opportunities. And the Los Angeles Chargers, team I like to root for, is hurting along the offensive line. I believe you have to play the Chargers again. You have to play Denver again. I believe LA, the Rams are Raiders are within in that as well. So you have some opportunities to win some football games within there. Guys who teams who are nursing some injuries, and especially the Chargers with those 2 big losses along the offensive line, and that's going to be the difference maker. We'll see how it goes. Drag Race Mayhem says, I hate to say it as an Eagles fan, but Dallas is the best NFC East team right now. Seriously, how have we not fired Kevin? Because he's a scapegoat. Nick Sirianni, his entire career, has had someone that he can turn to and say, see, it's not me, it's him. Brian Johnson, who should have never been fired. But we all know that Nick Sirianni is a puppet master. Very good one. Because he disguises it as if Petula is the guy pulling the strings. But when you see some of the head scratching, why are we throwing the ball over the yard and not running Saquon when we've had success? How is it that Saquon only touched the ball 10 times in the running game the whole entire game? It's him. The only time he didn't pull any triggers and any strings was with Kellen Moore because he trusted him. And Kellen Moore, as a offensive coordinator, had a proven record, even though I feel like he ruined my Chargers as a head coach. But he is a proven offensive coordinator. This team just doesn't run the football enough, one. And then on the other side of the ball, those rotational guys that I talked about in August, I said people are downplaying the losses of these rotational guys on defense. They are a huge part of why the Eagles were successful. Everybody's like, oh, Super Bowl champs, blah, blah, blah. They do an excellent job in the front office, blah, blah, blah. And they piss down their leg every chance they get defensively against good football teams. It's not rocket science because the corners outside of Mitchell are not good. I like Cooper DeJean a lot. But if your front seven ain't getting there, that boy can't cover. He's struggling to cover a shadow. So this isn't a surprise. And then Nick Sirianni, along with his scapegoat boy, doesn't do anything to protect this defense by running the football, taking time off the clock, being methodical and scoring points. And we're forcing the ball to A.J. Brown, a man you should have traded at the trade deadline. He's a problem. He's more about me than he is about we. And when me is getting the ball, as he did in that last game, I mean, he got 35 fantasy points. Thank you. But that doesn't always correlate into wins. That scoring fast is nice if you can do it consistently. But if you can't do it consistently, guess what you're doing? You're giving more time for the opposing offense to go out there and murder your defense. Because they're not stopping people in the key moments and getting turnovers in key moments either. Because they're missing those players. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, another guy missing. May not like his attitude, but the guy found ways to come up with the ball. And because of his attitude and because he's kind of Dennis Rodman-like, he forced other folks to get off their game and get inside their head. That stuff makes a difference, man. Sometimes you got to have a few buttholes in the locker room. And he was one of them. But he got that defense fired up. And he was a guy who could manage getting turnovers. So it would be cool to see Alan Ronhart be a NHRA driver. Yeah, I guess it would be. Yes, and Herbert. Yeah, the hand. I don't know how. They haven't said if he's going to be out any, but I have to think he'd have to miss some time, unless you put some kind of glove with a steel plate on it, or you do what they did with Aaron Rodgers. But then you got to trust that he's going to get down and not have what happened to him. What happened to Aaron Rodgers happened to him. That was a tough hit, man. Makes me wonder what Nick even does. He doesn't call plays, clearly doesn't see a good culture base on AJ crying every week. So what does he do? I'm gonna tell you, you may not see him physically call, but he has some say, obviously, in what's going on. You can't be that stupid to not run Saquon Barkley. There's been games where he's had under 12 carries. It's Saquon Barkley. And their offensive line is not in that bad of shape. They had missing pieces last year and dominated folks because they were run first. But it seems like they like passing a lot. But I'm telling you, man, that's Nick. The defense is actually good now with Phillips on defense. how can you blame the defense when the offense is 3-and-out? True, but there's too many times that I've seen this defense give up points, especially against good football teams. They're just not that great. They're not as great as they once were last year. That's really the problem. They're just not. And people got to be honest about it. They're just not. And those rotational guys matter. They matter big time. That front seven was loaded. You had good contributors, guys who could come in, and really there was no drop off like most teams. And they lost those people. And those people mattered. And you're seeing that. So we'll see. We'll see. Silly season's pretty interesting, huh? We got Alexis moving. What's next? What's next? Should be some crew chief announcements, but I don't think JFR does announcements on crew chiefs, though. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But I think some folks there will be a lot of promotion in-house. And some people who deserve to be crew chiefs will be crew chiefs. So I think that's who you'll see at the helm on these cars. And maybe you might, depending upon the circumstances and who they choose as a driver, maybe you might see an outside crew chief. But there's a chance. There's a chance. So very interesting. IHRA promotes Leah Martin as president and I think this is a good hire. She has great experience, was part of the Lake of the Ozarks shootout. And that's a big deal. So looking forward to seeing how she carries the torch and helps out there. And then we have Michelle Damagamba. She is now the VP of Elite. And she will be working hand in hand with my favorite person in dealing with teams and communication, Sarah Slaughter, dealing with communication, sponsor relations, and things of that nature. She has plenty of experience, is still in the role with Pro as VP, so still doing that, and will be here with Elite Motorsports. So I think that was a really good hire for them as well. It's cool to see women being promoted in these high ranking positions. I think that's pretty interesting and really good stuff. So, and most important thing, these folks are qualified. So I like that. It'll be good to see and gonna be fun to see what they decide to do. What did you guys think of the schedule from the IHRA? I do know that there will probably be some dates that are going to be moved around, possibly. But I think the schedule, if you correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, but I think the schedule is where they're going is correct. So ATL coming back. And if you look on Google Earth or whatever, the track is still there. There will be some, cleaning up that will need to be done and probably some repaving or whatever. But the track is still there. The walls are still there. All the roads to the, pit road and all of that in the pits are still there. Do they need to be refurbished? Absolutely. But everything is still intact outside of the tower. So they would just have to build a new tower and do some refurbishing in the pit area, which that's not hard to do, to get asphalt in there and clean things up and do a little cleanup on the track surface. And remember, they only have to do an eighth mile worth if they want to prepare for having quarter mile, then they may do that. but it's really not a lot of work that needs to be done there. The one that needs the most work is Memphis. As we all know, we've seen videos of that, and yeah, it's not pretty. It's not pretty. I don't know what to think about the Alexis move, but you are right. Expectations will be higher than they ever have. No excuses now. Exactly. No excuses. Glad you like these type of shows, man. I figured, hey, man, we getting towards the end of the year, and don't need to be in any type of direction. We'll let you guys steer the direction of the show, and yeah, I enjoy doing these type of shows with you guys. Um, uh, Memphis Line says, I like where the IHRA finals are being held. Me too. Me too. I like a lot about that schedule. Very, very solid schedule. I like the tracks and I like the places that they're going. It should be fun, man. It should be fun. And I'm looking forward. I'm hoping that they move some of the dates around. I think I think you can't be stubborn in that regard and have conflicting dates with the NHRA. The only conflicting dates you can have are ones that are out west. Because 9 times out of 10, the people that want to run with you aren't going to go out there anyway. So that way you don't cut into car count. But I think they'll do the right thing and do a good job in that regard. IHRA is set for something big. They have the most money of any drag racing series backing them. If you pay well, big teams will pay attention. And I think you're going to see a bit of that this year. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I think Steve Torrance is going over there. Fits his schedule, fits what he wants to do, where he's at in his career. More business, family minded. Does enjoy racing, but I think he'll do it if it's fun. If it doesn't become fun anymore, he won't do it. And he's as much as said that. So, but I do think, and I think you see other teams come over. There will be teams that just can't because they contractually cannot. Drag Race Mayhem says probably could just build all those tracks as eighth mile to cut cost. I agree. I mean, if that's you come out and said that's what your premise is, so save yourself some money and do eighth mile. He says IHRA only has to get 8 cars. To be honest, schedule races on top of the NHRA hurts NHRA more than IHRA. I don't know. I don't want this to be I don't want this to be a sanctioned body war because it doesn't have to be that way. Give people the most opportunities they can, not only to race but to make good money. And if they want to go over there and race in NHRA at times, then they can do that. But for the smaller teams, and I'll say even for some of the bigger teams, I mean, everybody likes money, and if you're not going to run over here because of your feelings, I think you're an idiot. Because I'll take that payout all day and twice on Sunday. Memphis Lonnie says thoughts on the last WWE from a few days ago. So he is talking about Survivor Series. My initial thoughts, soft. The women's match, highly skilled individuals in there, but it was a little weak. They blew up a lot of moments that really weren't like, they didn't get the pop that it should have. You had some moments, but all they did was throw a bunch of all-stars in the ring and said, go at it. That's my problem with this whole pay-per-view, because I refuse to say PLE. The men's, War Games, same thing. Got a bunch of stars in there. Then we got this mystery man that shoots up the side of the cage, gets in there, stomps CM, and gives the Vision the win. I don't think the mystery man is Seth, although that stump kind of gives it away, but that could be to be throwing us off a little bit. I could see it being Austin Theory. I just don't see Seth climbing that thing as quick as he did. I don't think I've ever seen Seth climb a cage as quick as he did. The best match was the John Cena match against Dominic Mysterio. I don't think the Liv Morgan comeback got the pop that everybody thought that it would have. It should have, but I don't think it really did. There's a lot of interference there, and you kind of got to have that because they're not going to let John lose clean to Dominic. Not saying anything negative about Dominic, but they're not going to let him lose clean to Dominic. So I give it a C+. But it's not hate, it's just honesty. And we have to be honest with ourselves. Since WrestleMania 41, it's been a hodgepodge of things. We've had some decent moments. We've had some decent pay-per-views. But for the most part, it's the same old, same old. And it seems like to me, first of all, WWE is paying way more attention to AEW than they care to mention. And the reason why I say that is that every time we get to a pay-per-view or a Saturday night main event, you're throwing the same people out there every time to try to get ratings. Where are all these other guys like Mello, LA Knight, people who have been and have made runs and have worked their way to really earn a spot to hold a title? And we have titles on CM Punk, Cody Rhodes. I forget who the U.S. title is on. That's how memorable that is. We got a tag team titles on 2 singles wrestlers when we have plenty of tag teams in a division, but we got them on 2 singles wrestlers. And they did the same thing with the women's title, but I'm going to tell you they did that with the women's tag team titles because Charlotte needed a title. So it was a C+ for me. And I think this is partially WWE, but this is a lot to do with TKO. Since TKO's takeover, prices have gone up. Your pay-per-views are almost darn near Super Bowl prices at every one. Your WrestleMania is Super Bowl price. And the only reason why they're going back to Vegas is because they hit the jackpot that time and they're trying to milk the cow again. It's about money. Every fan that doesn't have the WWE veil over their eyes knows that and sees that. And if you're honest with yourself, the product hasn't been good since 41, since their big push as TKO and their purchase. We get moments. We've gotten moments since WrestleMania 41, but nothing that I'm going to go right home to mama about and go run on Twitter and talk about how good it was. You're not. And the people that keep crapping on AEW, just admit that you're a WWE apologist and you only like that style of wrestling. It's okay to admit that. But to talk negatively about an organization that actually has clear storylines, there has been really good moments. All of their pay-per-views are always good. Sure, all wrestling miss, but WWE has been missing a lot. And I'll tell you one thing else too. The quality of the wrestling, that's another thing. The wrestling was sloppy in that pay-per-view. And we've kind of seen this coming through on whether it's Raw or SmackDown or a pay-per-view or a special show that we see sloppy wrestling. And look, man, it happens in every, you're going to have some mess ups. You're going to have some things where, oh, they missed that spot. But it just looks slow, lethargic, and at times sloppy. That match with Gunther and Solo, a lot of sloppy moments. And you look at main event Jey Uso and that match with LA Knight. LA Knight on Raw was clearly the better wrestler in the ring. The Yeet Man just wasn't yeeting. And in so many ways hasn't been yeeting in a while. And I think some of that has to do with the rigorous schedule of the WWE. And they are now like wearing out the guys who are getting pop. They're wearing them out and they're not building up anybody else. And that's never good because at the end of the day, that's when you start having injuries because they're not getting a break. They're going to run that cash cow until the cash cow can't run no more. And then when you break, they find somebody else, hopefully. So, no, that's kind of long, but I'm just kind of disgusted with what I keep seeing from there. Caleb says, don't care for fans anymore. I don't care for them either because, wrestling used to be a thing where we didn't try to figure out who was doing what and getting all these spoilers. I hate that. I want to be surprised and dumbfounded like everybody else when something happens. That's why I don't even go on Twitter anymore, especially when it comes down to wrestling stuff, because people tell everything. Or you got people that are media leaking stuff. And I don't care to know that. Like I don't want you to tell me who the mystery man is. I want to find out. Should have found out on Monday night, but they ain't got nothing else going, so they got to milk this. I find it hard to believe that it would be Seth when the Vision kicked him out. So, I don't know. Should be Austin Theory, because Austin Theory deserves a push. To me, I think Austin Theory could be the next John Cena, but they've buried that cat. Travis Bam says, also, we have the first race of the Drag Illustrated Winter Series this weekend. I'm interested in that. That is one thing that they do well. I believe Antron Brown's going to be out there. So those of you who don't know, there is a show in here with Brian Karate talking, and he talks about that pro mod. It's from last year, and he talks about that pro mod and the work they've been doing. And it did come out the last Winter Series. So, yeah, Brian Karate's into that kind of stuff. And, yeah, it should be fun. I like Antron in a pro mod. I really do. He does an excellent job. Did an excellent job last time he was out there. I expect nothing different. But I think you got some of the best pro mods out there right now that are there. I don't want to go over the top like Wes does. It is a great series. I will say that. It is a great series. And those guys and girls come to play. So I'm looking forward to seeing all of that. Said we need to yeet and retire. We need to yeet and retire. Yeah, I agree. It's time. It's just time to move on from it. Right now, it's just not working. And if they can get Jay to improve on his biggest holdback as a champion is the fact that he doesn't talk well on the mic. He just doesn't. And that if he can get that up to par, the rest of it, I think you don't have a problem with putting a championship belt on him. But I think that's why he didn't hold it as long. He's just not very good on the mic. And some people got it and some people don't. You know what I mean? Yeah, Brian Karate is part of that car. Yep. It says got like 50 cars going for 32 spots. Yeah, man. Competition is going to be strong. 32 spots, 50 cars. They're going to let it all hang out. That's for sure. And should be a great event. So please check that out, man. I think it's going to be good stuff. I think it's going to be very good stuff. That'll be going on there at the Winter Series. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings our show. I enjoyed it. You guys brought out some good stuff. There will be more good things to talk about here. News dropping. There's some other surprise news that will be dropping here soon. So stay tuned to sportsjourney.com and stay tuned to the Twitters. There will be some other stuff dropping soon. And then PRI is going to be an absolute madhouse. I think we're going to have a bunch of things drop from the IHRA to the NHRA. It's going to be a lot of drag racing news. So looking forward to that. Tonight on the Power Hour, we're going to have a roundtable of guys, myself, the Monday Morning Racer, Lee Kraft, Elon Warner, and we might get a surprise viewing and a showing from Bobby Bennett of Competition Plus. So, should be fun. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. All of you who will watch later, who watch now, it's been a fun show. I am looking forward to 2026. We've got some things working for you that is going to take the show to another level. Trying to really brand it this time. And I think we've got something that you'll really, really like for 2026 and the future. So sit back and enjoy. Thank everybody for your comments and participation. It's been great. I will see you guys on the other side next Tuesday. Good night, everybody.